Hello everybody, welcome back for some more Crash 4. It's about time. It's about time we're back. Run It By You is probably one of my least favorite levels of the entire game. Not gonna lie. No joke. And my internet's doing that thing again, isn't it? Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, I don't like Run It By You. I don't know what else to say. Also, this video is being recorded after, I think, 11 videos in Doom Dark Ages. So, hold on, there's actually a hidden box somewhere nearby. I just don't remember directly where it was. Well, found it. But I could have sworn there's something else that's hidden here too. But anyway, yeah, nope, of course. But this is being recorded after those 11 episodes, but I'm not sure if we'll get to see, if you guys are going to get to see this before they're uploaded or not. Okay, I don't think you can do anything with that. But yeah, this level I do not like for a lot of reasons. First of all, if you're trying to get all the boxes, the first problem is these first couple of boxes that are down here. And now you have this new mechanic that we can also play with in a second, which of course is going to be the countdown box or whatever it's called. Now, basically how the countdown boxes work is as soon as you hit that, the box to activate it, those boxes will have a timer on it, and then you have to follow through and go break them before they basically just disappear again. They're not hard. They never really get too in the way, to be fair. Yeah, there's a yellow gem. I knew there was two hidden things. I just didn't remember what the other one was. But that's at least where yellow gem's at. Which yellow gem at least was an easy get and grab, so it wasn't a big deal. And this whole platforming back thing is more annoying than platforming 2, to be quite honest. There you go. Yeah, make sure you don't fudge that up, and make sure you also don't fudge that up either and land right into the whirlpool. Yeah, countdown boxes, or what they're called, they're not that bad. This part's a little bit irritating because it almost feels like, man, I got no time to collect these things. But you really do, because as you can tell, some boxes just take longer to go away than others. Now, if you want all the boxes here, I fudged that up, that's fine. If you're going to get all the boxes in this level, you're going to have to go back with this. Actually, I think you can... Yeah, you can do that. Okay. Also. You're going to have to come back here. This part's not that bad, though. It's just... Funny enough, getting back here, compared to the other one we did earlier, going backwards is a lot easier than going forward. And I think that's it. I don't think you have to do any more boxes within my line of sight that I can think of. And I'm not going to try to go for the Wumpa Fruit. It's not worth it. I mean, the amount of Wumpa Fruit you collect from boxes naturally just... I'm pretty sure are just enough to get you by. To get you that, the gem you need. So I think we should be okay. And yes, I should have checkpointed there, but I decided to checkpoint first. Before I started the whole box run, just in case. And speaking of hidden things, I think there's hidden boxes around here too. Maybe not. I don't know. Also, I could have sworn I was halfway through Crash 4. I think I am. But there's still plenty of stuff to do. Even after I get through practically everything. So, there's still going to be a lot of just, later levels that are going to be a tad bit long. I was having a conversation about that, actually, with my brother today, funny enough, while we're eating out. Each other's ass, yes. No, we were having pizza. But, we don't have to eat, and I was talking about, going back and playing some Mario Odyssey again, because, I'm starting to kind of get around to liking it just a bit more. And I was mentioning the things that I mentioned before about Crash 4 that I like. I think that Crash 4 is peak Crash platforming. But like he said, there's just so much boxes in a level that you have to go break. And I was like, yeah, basically, yeah. But, or no, he said the levels were kind of long. That's what it was. He said the levels were kind of long. And I was like, kind of. They are kind of long. They're longer than, most Crash levels are normally. Because I think, every level in this game, minus the extra character levels, are actually quite lengthy in comparison to what we used to have. I'm not doubting, like, I'm not denying that. I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to get with the story. Honestly, I have no idea what I'm trying to get at. Either way, we do have a lot to do. Regardless, is I guess the main point. Real quick, just be. Oh yeah, those are steel crates. That's fine. Yeah, so these ones don't turn into. No, they do. Oh, God damn it! I remember this one being kind of the harder one to get. There's a way to do it. I just can't dead offhand remember. I think I know what it was. I know what I fucked up. Yeah, these levels are kind of lengthy though, like, and that's gonna play a role in this. And when I was mentioning that I was halfway through, I think what I should have said was I'm halfway through in terms of like just main levels, like getting through main levels, not the fact that I'm halfway through 100%ing or anything like that, because 100% is gonna take a while to get, honestly. Well, not even just 100%, but like the whole thing I'm gonna do, video-wise, is gonna take a while to get to. As in, because I'm going back and I'm playing the levels again a second time, each level a second time, to do the inverted section, it's gonna basically double the length of the amount of videos it's gonna take for me to do this. Not that that's a problem, because, that's a problem. Not that it of itself is a problem of recording a bunch. It's just that it will take a little bit longer to kind of get to other things as well. But, I like Crash 4 enough, platforming-wise, that I still think that it's definitely the peak highlight of Crash platforming. Although, I mean, some would argue that Crash Twinsanity is basically the penultimate for platforming, and the reason being is because of the fact that it's such a broken game that you can. Well, it's not broken to the point where like a casual person is just going to accidentally just break everything in sight. That's the one thing that is kind of misconstrued a lot. Is people hear the words like, "Oh, it's a broken game. It's a mess. It's a glitchy mess," and it's like, no, it's not really. It's like DK64, where like DK64 is a broken, glitchy mess. But only in the regard of if you're going after those glitches and breaking the game. Games like... I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head that's like a broken mess, but there are games out there that are glitchier than shit, That's clearly a thing that can happen, still has. I think Mighty Number 9 was one of those, I think, back in the day. I don't remember, it's been a while since I've played, like, base Mighty Number 9, so... I don't know. Hell, I don't remember when I even got my number 9. I think I got it like a couple months after it came out. This is not working. Okay. I think Crash 4 even had problems when it came out too. I mean, most games do typically, but especially nowadays. But either way, so Mario Odyssey stuff. I've been going back through Mario Odyssey again, and of course that thing happened once again where it's like, ooh. I'm still kind of feeling like the mood of wanting to Let's Play it or something to that degree. Like, have it be played on my YouTube channel in some way, shape, or form. And I'm trying to get away from doing Let's Plays so I can get these done. The ones that I'm working on right now, like Doom, and then get to Uncharted 4 and stuff like that. I'm trying to get to that point. And Shadow Warrior and Postal, of course. Well, Shadow Warrior, honestly, at this point, I don't know. If it gets done, it gets done. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's all I'm going to say. Actually, you can do this. This is dangerous, by the way, but you can do this. And the reason why I typically do this is because of these right here. And then you gotta deal with this crap. Which, yeah, doesn't really lead to anything. I could have sworn it did, but... oh well. I know there's, I think, a hidden gem somewhere. Well, I mean, there's obviously a hidden gem in every level, but I think there's a hidden gem in this area. But I could be wrong. I could be thinking of the inverted stage. Or at the very least, not the inverted stage, but the other one. Because, like, you saw that thing where the explosion happened. And if you remember from back then, with the Tana section, with her blowing stuff up or whatever, I'm going to have to replay this level again at that point in time. Now, this part right here is quite difficult to get all the boxes, especially for like a no death run. As you can see, like I already clearly messed it up. I'm trying to get all the boxes at the very least. I don't care much about the other gym where it's like don't die more than 3 times. Because if I do die, then so be it. But you can kind of stop yourself a little bit. There's no brakes on this thing, but you can technically stop yourself just a tad bit if you do hold to the side. So, if you need that to readjust, then go ahead. Funny enough, I don't think this level was one of the levels that got fixed, but there was actually a level, the polar bear levels, basically, where you're riding on, like, a rideable animal. Those levels actually got fixed. There's Fake Crash for you. By fixed, I mean that there was a point in time, and I was playing the game at that time, too. Because I played Crash 4 around the time when it came out. And so I had to suffer, like many others, where we had those levels where those boxes, like there's like, it'd be like a box of 4, right? Just standing vertically 4 boxes. All 4 boxes are just on top of each other, whatever. And the hitbox, when you're running into them, was so tight that when you run into those 4 boxes, you'd probably only break like 2 out of the 4. Because you had to be so specific with where you're hitting them at that it was troublesome. And a lot of people just kind of were having a lot of issues with it, just doing it, that the devs eventually just made it to where they gave it, they kind of did like, okay, see right there? See how I hit that from the right side? When it should have only probably maybe possibly cleaned out only the right 2 boxes. It would have probably done that back in the day. But now, it's like, no, it's... If you hit those 2 boxes, you're most likely going to get all 4 boxes together, which is very nice. So, I kind of like that aspect a lot better. And I think, like, older Crash games, I think, did the same thing, too, back in the day, where if you did happen to kind of slightly miss, they would still be lenient enough to give you that. And speaking of those levels, we're actually getting pretty close to doing them now, too. Alright, let's just go do the Dingodile section, get it over with. So Mario Odyssey stuff. Back in the day when it came out and I played it, or whenever I played it back in the day. I don't think I got it day 1, but, you know, it's one of those things where I don't remember. Regardless when I got it. I thought the game was neat, but for the longest time, and still kind of do, I don't care too much for the levels themselves. However, after... Okay, a little context here. So I was watching a speedrun. It was like an 8-hour speedrun. I know, doesn't sound very fast. But trust me, it's all the moons, all together. All the objective-based moons. So the ones that you're supposed to technically, realistically, do, quote-unquote. And by do, I basically mean that all the ones that you don't have to buy extra for, because there's like a thing where you can buy extra moons and then you can up your score of moons you have, but they're not actually objective-based moons, so you don't really do anything to actually get them besides spend money, and they don't really count toward the total. There's 888 moons. No, sorry, 880 moons, I think, in total, or something like that. And I was watching the speedrun, and I was thinking, like, you know, even though I don't like the levels that much, at least Mario Odyssey still has, like, just a collectible that is, for the most part, like, mission-based, still, somehow, which is impressive. Because a lot of those moons, even though some of them are just kind of double up, like, oh, do jump rope 50 times. Oh, well, now do jump rope, 100 times. There's going to be, there's going to be levels like that, or I should say, there's going to be moons like that are going to happen. A lot of things are kind of doubled up, but it's still impressive to me that they were able to come up with just enough. There's just a random frog over here. See that? To the left. They look kind of weird and funny looking. But it still kind of impressed me. I'm like, maybe it's not the fact that I don't hate the moons in the game. I don't really hate collecting moons or whatever. I think it really just kind of boils down to, like, I still just don't really care much for the actual level design. There's no really inherently bad level either. It's just I don't really care much for the look of a lot of them. They just look kind of whatever. They don't really get that Mario feel that I like from Mario 64 or anything like that. Because I'm a hater, you know. And then I started playing it again, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I do kind of like Mario Odyssey a little bit. Not as much as I probably could, but I definitely do think it's not all that bad, so that's good. And then I'm still surprised that DK Bonanza, I got this wrong. I told my brother about this. I kind of got it wrong. I was about to tell him like maybe sometime tomorrow or something whenever I see him again. That I did kind of get this part wrong, but I remember when DK Bonanza was coming out, and I was watching the trailers for it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be cool. I think it's gonna be cool. But how the hell are they gonna manage objective-based bananas? Which, funny enough, you don't even have to collect them anyway because they're not a main priority. Funny enough, but yeah, I got to thinking like, how the hell are they gonna make it to where they're gonna have objective-based bananas when everything's just like this open world thing of just breaking shit all the time? Like, wouldn't the moons, or not the moons, but wouldn't the bananas just themselves get extremely repetitive? And funny enough, they were actually able to come up with bananas that, I mean, even though they are, for the most, like, there's quite a lot that are, you know, hidden and tucked away underground or something, or whatever. Not like a whole bunch, but there's always levels that are going to have, like, a few bananas that are just below deck or something, I don't know. And that's not a problem, but it's definitely awe-inspiring that they were still able to come up with just enough just objective things in general, especially after Mario Odyssey. I'm like, damn, they, you know, I wouldn't say that they're creatively bankrupt or anything like that, but they definitely put in quite a bit of work to figure out some of these ideas for what a level could be like. And that's one part of game design or just game dev stuff that I think some people, especially like myself, tend to kind of forget. Is that when it comes to game design, you got to make your game fun too, and give people, you know, fun things to collect or to do. And if you're playing like a collectathon, you got to make those collectathon things worth collecting. You can't just throw out a random whatever and call it a day, you know. I mean, because with Crash, like, yes, I'm breaking quote-unquote random boxes, or at the very least, you know, it seems like I'm breaking just things that just kind of go into like a big giant nothingness. Because at the end of the day, they just only give me a gem for it, right? But at the same time, with the way that Crash is, it's nice to have a game, or Crash does it in a nice way where they make it to where boxes are not just a MacGuffin. They're also a thing where you can use as platforming bits too, which is very interesting. And the idea of how they came up with boxes is kind of cool too, because I think they were doing like a tech demo thing for Crash 1 back in the day. I might be mistaken on this, so don't quote me on this, but I think they're doing like some type of tech demo thing or something. And they had a thing where they broke boxes, which I think at that point in time wasn't even a part of the main gimmick of the game. It was just something that they were just doing. And then they liked the idea of breaking boxes, so they just ended up making that, well, that. And honestly, maybe it's because I have a huge bias toward Crash just in general, but I absolutely love the crate breaking idea that Crash has. I think that's definitely one of the coolest collectathon concepts there is. Of course I do that. Ugh. I genuinely like the box breaking thing. It's always like a nice bit of dopamine, especially when you land those platforming sections. And I guess real quick, back to the banana thing. Not talking about, you know, DK64 or anything like that, but bananas, at least in DK Bonanza, are, you know, again, for the most part, like, you could just find them randomly and just, well, it seems like it's random, which, you know, I'm sure there were probably ideas that they were kind of getting a little bit like, you know, we are definitely running out of ideas here, so let's just put things there just to add more stuff. Nothing wrong with that as long as the game is still good, if that makes any sense what I'm trying to say, because I tend to kind of not express what I'm trying to get at very well sometimes. But I feel like DK does it good enough to where it works. And then Mario Odyssey, the way they did it was quite good. Even though I'm not a big fan of the levels themselves, I would still argue that at the end of the day, Mario Odyssey is still a very good game to play. And it kind of goes back to Crash 4 as well. I do feel like even though Crash 4 is what it is, which is just a bunch of shit, you know, to collect, I guess, at the end of the day, but it's so... it's still streamlined enough to where it doesn't really bug me too much. Not really streamlined, but it's done in a way that doesn't bother me too much. And I've actually had this conversation a little bit before, too. Where it's like, you know, the game is... it does have a bunch of shit to do, but half the gems you do collect are based on Wumpa Fruit. So that already kind of negates at least half of the things you're... like, half the MacGuffins right there that the game decided to create. That was a new concept, by the way, was the Wumpa Fruit being collected as an actual collectible. And I don't know how I never put this together, like 2 and 2 together for this one, but I heard recently, which it's way too recent, by the way, that I heard this from, but the Wumpa Fruit being a collectible was actually added because of modern, not modern controls, but there's a setting in the game that we saw at the beginning of the game where you can play either retro style or modern. Modern, of course, being like there's no life counter, and I don't think there's anything really wrong with that. As you guys can tell, I play in modern, which is funny because, you know, oh, you're such a big Crash fan, you should be playing in classic or retro. Yeah, but I don't mind having a little bit of leisure, I guess. And besides, Crash 4 is very difficult, not gonna lie. And dying a lot is going to be a thing, and just having to get a game over would just kind of get in the way a little bit. Not by much, but I know that's just quitter talk, but still. I think it's okay. I think it's one of those things where, like, I don't mind it as much. And because, you know, because I say it doesn't matter, I think it doesn't matter. I missed 4 boxes somehow. Probably ding it off shit, I'm sure. But no, unironically, like, it don't bug me that much. It's so minuscule that it don't bother me. And plus, if you're good at the game, you could really negate the whole retro thing. You can get 99 lives probably pretty easily, too. So, I don't know. I feel like it's definitely one of those things where it don't matter. Play how you want to play, but just don't try to force upon other people, you know, like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be done. On both ends, by the way, I might say. Not just... I'm not going to make fun of modern games or modern game players or anything like that. So it kind of goes both ways. Although I will admit that, to an extent, gatekeeping is still important in some places. So just really depends, I guess. I don't know. That's something else that I do feel like talking about, but I think I've already talked enough, just in one video as is, that I don't know if I really want to continue talking about whatever. It was just going to talk about, like, normies and gatekeeping. As I do feel, I'm one of those types of people that does feel like gatekeeping is not a bad thing, depending on what you're into, I guess. And I guess just to kind of cover it just a little bit, I was watching somebody else talking about normies and stuff. I found somebody else, I forget their name, but there's just some random clip I saw. They're talking about, like, you know, normies getting their hands on things and then ruining it. And it's like, yeah, that does happen. But like much like with fighting games, it really kind of depends. But I'll talk about this person's topic first before I get into mine. So basically, fuck, I forgot exactly what the thing was I was trying to get at. No, I know what the topic was. I'm just trying to think of, like, how it was worded. There's like a specific thing they were talking about that I'm trying to remember exactly. Ugh, damn it! I just watched it today too. My brain shut off. I had to work today, so that's what happens. Shh, it's fine. Oh yeah, so basically, what you can do is you can do that. You can now jump on nitros. Which, honestly, if you think about it, as crazy as it sounds, that's some Wrath of Cortex shit. So we have Crash 1, in terms of difficulty and just, I guess, in general, the world map idea. And, yeah. Crash 2 in terms of, like, movement, I guess, maybe. And well, Crash 2, actually, in terms of vehicles, mostly. I feel like Crash 2 levels kind of take a big inspiration here. Anyway, back to the topic. So, oh, yeah, I know what it was. It was, K-pop is normie slop. And, like, it didn't used to be that way, but now it is. And it's like, oh my god, that's so fucking true. I know quite a few normies that are just into K-pop. It's crazy. But they did mention that not everybody who's into K-pop is a normie. It's just that a lot of normies seem to be into K-pop. And I guess you can call me a loser too, but I like J-pop, personally. I'm not a big K-pop guy. Never really heard much of it. And just the ones I have heard, like, don't really care. And then they brought up the idea that, like back in the day, this person tried talking to other people about, like, J-pop, like, getting into that, but they were getting into K-pop. And the people that were talking shit about J-pop are like, we don't understand it. Like, you know, it's like a whole different language or whatever. It's like, I don't get it. And what's funny to me is I've been around so much Japanese media, and, like, I've learned a little bit of Japanese, actually. So I don't want to... I'm not trying to humble brag or anything. I'm just saying, like, I have been around it long enough. You know, I've learned it a little bit. I've learned, you know, words here and there that I can kind of understand, phrases I can understand, and read a little bit of it. So, yeah, maybe I am humble bragging. Yeah, it's not that great, by the way. Kanji still pisses me off, but other than that, like, I've been around it so long that I've gotten so used to it that it sounds like a second language to me. Like, it makes sense to me. And what's funny is, those people that say, like, oh, well, you know, Japanese language is so weird to understand, but, like, I can totally understand, you know, Korean. Or, like, they're so used to Korean, doesn't sound like much of a different language. I kind of feel the same thing toward, like, weirdly enough, toward Korean, and then especially Chinese. Chinese is a hell of a language. And I know this is going to sound extremely weeby as fuck, but it pisses me off as much of a weeb I am. I know, look, I know, I get it, okay? I know it infuriates me when I'm listening to something that's Japanese, because I listen to a lot of just Japanese stuff, like, a lot. Whether it be songs or watching VTubers or anything of the sort, or playing games. Like, a lot of my games, not a lot of them, like, not all of them, but just a good amount of them can be, you know, a lot of the time just Japanese made, or at the very least anime based, because, you know, I like my animes and stuff. It really pisses me off when I'm partaking in some Japanese culture. Oh, I hate the way I said that. But you get the idea. So, like, I'll be partaking in this Japanese culture thing, and then someone would just make the, you know, the ching chong joke, and it's like, to be fair, I know you're fucking dumb, but you do realize that if you're gonna make fun of a language, you gotta at least be a little bit more accurate with that language. Like, if you're gonna be racist, you might as well be competitively racist, right? You know, you can't just be a casual racist. And it's because, like, the thing that they're basically, the ching chong thing is actually more so Chinese than anything, to be fair. So that's what I'm getting at. Again, it sounds extremely weeby as shit. Like, if you're gonna make fun of the Japanese language, at least just, you know, say something along the lines of, like, you know, oh, kawaii desu, you know, or something like, just something like that. Because at the very least, just have a little bit of knowledge about it, because, like, not obviously every Asian language is gonna be the same. It's just, I know people who do that shit, and it's really just infuriating. I guess you could say it's less so it's infuriating. I mean, I don't think it's really, I don't know. We don't really need to talk about, this is just, you know, now we're getting political here, but I don't really care all that much about the, I guess, you know, quote-unquote racist aspect of it that much. As much as I do just the idea that they're just too fucking stupid to understand that you do realize that those are different languages, right? Like I said, if you're gonna make fun of something, at least get it right, I guess. I don't know. That's like if somebody was watching Russian things or whatever, and they start speaking German for whatever reason, it would just kind of throw you off, wouldn't it? And be like, okay, but that's not even like the same thing. Because they're so different. But I guess people just see Asians as like the same thing anyway, so that's just more so uncultured and, you know, that kind of people that just don't care, I guess. I don't know. Listen to me. I'm trying to sound off like I'm hyper PC. I'm not by any means, so don't worry. And the more I keep talking about it, the more it makes me sound racist, which, by the way, you know, if I'm going to sound racist, I might as well just be damn good at it, right? Because I got to be good at everything. Might as well be, like I said, like, be a competitive racist. That's all. And because that's funny, because I kind of stole that joke from someone else, actually. I was watching a bunch of King of the Hill for a good while there. Like the older stuff for a while. This was before season 14 even came out. You know, I guess you could say I was getting caught up in my King of the Hills. But so, I was watching, you know, some clips and some episodes and what have you. And somebody made basically there's an episode where Hank's dad shows up and they meet the neighbor who's Laotian. I always say that wrong, by the way, Laotian. You know what I mean. Yeah. So, I think it was Dale says something about like, oh, this is Khan, he's Japanese, and then Hank's dad Cotton says, he ain't Japanese, he's Laotian. Ain't that right, Mr. Khan? And it's so funny because Cotton's racism is so powerful. He was able to get that right. Even I think Khan was impressed too. He's like, damn, okay. That's competitive racism right there. And that's where the joke came from. Like, somebody mentioned that. He's like, yeah, that's a competitive racism. Okay, so real quick, to get off that topic, I guess, before I get canceled on YouTube, because it's definitely coming from my throat. There's, I think, only one hidden box on this entire thing, and you have to kind of wait like a split second or so, because I think that those 3 blocks will go there. They'll go first, and then you have to wait for another 3 or something like that, and then it'll pop up. It's like every other 2, I think, give or take. Could be wrong about how many, but we still got it. We got the hidden box. There's like, I think, only just the one. Okay, that's what it was. Yeah. I usually go right first because I think that right is right, of course, you know. No, it's just that I think that's the easier way to do it. Because unfortunately, unlike that level we had like way back in the day, this one is unfortunately one of those where you're gonna have to go both paths. Because if you guys remember, if you happen to see that episode, there was one where back in the engine levels, there was a level where there was a double way to go. You know what? The fuck with this. I'm not getting all the I'm not bothering with it. Damn it. I care too much. Alright, fine. Try to kill myself and land on boxes while doing it. That's Crash for you. Like, it doesn't matter which way you go first. I like going this way first because, 1, there's Aku Mask, and 2, it just feels the easiest way to go. And technically, you could probably just go backwards. Like, you can go up there and then go backwards. But I like going backwards first because I'm weird. Because, honestly, there's only just the one box you have to go back and grab, which I think is kind of just annoying. Well, I don't know. I don't know what's more annoying. The fact that I have to go back to that fork in the road to get that one box, or the fact that the engine level... Or the fact that the engine level didn't even have a box on the other path. Because, like, that would totally be a thing that they would do. And they didn't do it. And it's like, well, why didn't you do it? It's so frustrating. And the problem is, if I... Like, I know there's only one box back there, but my brain is like, oh, no, there's probably, you know, way more than that. I'm pretty sure it's just the one. Okay, so in terms of timing when you're supposed to do that, I couldn't tell you. For me, it's more so like a hit and miss thing. Like, I sometimes get it right, and I sometimes just get it wrong. Usually I wait for the thing to... How do I explain it? I kind of wait for the thing to slam shut first. Then I do it, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and blow these boxes up first. Just get them out of the way so I don't have to deal with them. There. I still have the oxide stuff to go through. Oh, I spoiled that, but... Oh, well. This game's old enough to spoil at this point. I think it's fine. Although I am definitely one of those types of people that... Okay, you know what? Let's talk about spoiler stuff, shall we? Okay. I think it's okay if you're a YouTuber and you spoil something that's, like, old enough to be spoiled. I'm not a fan of people that upload the final boss of a game that just came out. I don't like that. It's gonna happen anyway. I don't like it, but I understand why it happens. Now, let me say this. Let me be clear. For example, I've never played Xenoblade 3 yet. I haven't even beaten Xenoblade 2 yet. I've only ever beaten Xenoblade 1. If I'm trying to get into a series, and my friends know I'm getting into that series, then I think it's okay that my friends should know, hey, by the way, don't spoil shit. And if they do spoil shit, I think you have all right to get pissed at them for that, right? But if a YouTuber does, like some random YouTuber, like you accidentally find, you know, something online that you have, well, obviously no control over. Not that you should have control of your friends, I'm just saying that, like, they should at least have some respect to not be an ass, right? That's what I'm getting at. Those are your friends, you know them in real life, you should be able to tell them, like, hey, I don't want that spoiled, please don't. But online, it's like you can't escape that anyway. So then I guess it kind of begs the question, well, you can't escape it online, what does it matter if your friends do it? Well, that's because, you know, like I said, those are your friends. You know, there should at least be some level of respect, I guess. That's what I'm getting at. Don't hold jump there. I fudged that up. You don't want to hold jump there because it'll make it a lot faster just to get down without the thing disappearing. Also, the time mask, real quick, just to say this, I like the time mask. I think she's quite fun to play with. Which I was about to say something silly like, you know, yeah, I like to play with her. I like my gilf masks. And then speaking of gilfs, I was talking about this like moments ago with my brother once again, where I was talking about like Dark Souls-esque females. Sounds horrible saying that. I know. That's some incel word shit, but I was talking about like the ladies of the FromSoft Souls games that we would, you know, want to suck and fuck, I guess. Like Maiden in Black is nice. And then Dark Souls 1 didn't really have one except for the old lady or whatever, but like the old lady firekeeper. I think you have to keep that box, by the way, up there. I think you need that to jump over. Dark Souls 2 had the Herald. She's alright. She's not like my favorite, but she's alright. Sorry. Firekeeper from 3 is pretty nice, but again, you know, not the biggest favorite. Then I mentioned, oh yeah, it wasn't just the girls we're talking about that we wanted to fuck either. It was like, you know, Gwendolyn and Guinevere are quite nice. Life from Elden Ring. And then I jokingly mentioned Smo, but my brother's like, yeah, absolutely. And I was like, all right. And I told him, like, I think he's a cannibal. I heard somewhere that I think Smo's a cannibal. But yeah, like the doll from Bloodborne. And then, what's her nuts from Elden Ring? She's alright. But my brother was like, yeah, there's her. Melanie, I think her name was. There's her, but there's Ronnie right there. And it's like, yeah, agreed. Hard agree. I know, we'll do the inverted at some point. I don't know if I can do the whole, like, 3 levels and then go back, because I think I did way more than 3 levels in one video, but it's fine. I thought about doing it that way, but honestly, who cares? It's just Crash 4. We'll get through it. This is, I think, the level that actually has the polar bear section that I mentioned before. That's going to be a fun joyride to go through. Oh yeah, Fool's Idol from Demon Souls as well. She's also quite nice. I think I like her in the remake one too a lot better. Although I think I preferred Made in Black PS3 version, actually. They both nerfed her and buffed her at the same time. They gave her smaller tits. That's not like the worst thing ever, but still. But her buff was dirtier feet. No, I don't know. I still prefer the Demon Souls like original one though. No doubt. Where was I going with this? See, this is what I do. I get on tangents and shit, and I completely forget what the point of it was. That's why I need to start taking normal pills, so I can remember what the point of the mask is. And now talking about that shit, it's making me think about something else. It's making me also depressed again. It's like, fuck, stop thinking, man. Jesus Christ. Well, there's a topic I can talk about. No, not to the extent of, like, depression talk, but just, something weird I brought up one time. And then I told my brother about it just today, again, because I was talking to him today. And it was basically, I was telling him about this thing that made me, kind of a slight bit upsetty a couple weeks ago. And, it was the thought process I had. So, let's say you're a creator of something, right? Let's say you make a game. My thought process was this. So, hey, bear with me. Basically, if our lives are controlled by, not really controlled, but, you know, if destiny is truly, my nose. Sorry. If destiny truly is a thing that arrives all the same, if it's something that essentially happens no matter what, doesn't that mean that the thing that you created does not actually belong to you? It wasn't your creation, but it was a creation of destiny itself. Or you could argue whatever the creator implied, or it's the creator's creation and not yours, was what I was getting at. It made me depressed because it's like I consider myself a creator of stuff, right? Not just YouTube videos, but other things outside that too. I like to make stuff. At one point I wanted to make games. That didn't happen, of course. Well, they didn't go as far as it should have gone, but that's either way. And it was also just for RPG Maker stuff too, so whether or not you count that as a game really depends on how well you, I guess you could say, made the game. I feel like most RPG Maker games are just kind of not really games. But there are people that can be really good at it. Also, here's a Crash 1 reference. Just high road stuff. I mean, it's blatantly high road. No doubt. But luckily, the breakable things don't break nearly as fast, I think. Well, they still break kind of fast, but I think this is still just a bit better in terms of speed. There we go. So yeah, yeah, he was like, "Damn, that's kind of a loaded question." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but it's just one of those dumbass things that pops in my head from time to time, and I hate when that happens." But it really got me kind of depressed for a bit because I was like, "Well, what's the point of?" See, because my thing's not even that really original. Because a while back, I remember hearing, you know, people saying things like, "Well, what's the point of doing anything if everything is just gonna be like? Is there really any point of doing what I'm doing now if the future is gonna happen regardless?" And it's my question is basically just kind of like that. Just explained a little bit. Okay, can't jump down there. Just worded a little bit differently, so it's not really that high IQ if I basically just kind of took it for something else. But it got me thinking, you know, a couple weeks ago, and I was like, God damn, that sucks. But then again, you know, like I told myself before, it's like, it doesn't really matter, because if it's actually true that that's the case, you know, that if it is truly the creator's creation, then at that point, does it really matter? Because if I have no say in it, then why should I bitch all that much about it? Because clearly I don't have much of a say, so, yeah. And I just want to make this very clear, by the way, as clear as I can possibly make it. I do not intend for anything to sound pessimistic or anything of the sort, by the way. I'm not trying to make anybody sad or depressed. I'm just talking about something that I wanted to talk about, I guess. So my answer to this is simply, it's simply thus. Even if, quote-unquote, our creations that we make ourselves are a product of somebody else that created us to make that happen, then at the end of the day, who gives a shit? Just do it anyway. Just don't think about it too much and just go have your fun, live your life, you know, whatever. Because even if, you know, creator in question made thing, then, well, go make thing, I guess. As long as you enjoy making it. And that kind of took me out for a little bit, too, of making stuff. Was like, I don't know if I really enjoy it anymore, because I guess it feels really weird when it feels as if it's somebody else that has the strings rather than me. But while I'm doing this video right now, like, this feels like I'm doing it, you know? So that's where the part doesn't really matter at. Because, like, to me right now, like, I feel like this is me. There's no destiny involved. And the thing is, too, like, I brought this up to my friend, but his answer was not satisfactory to my needs, I guess you could say. As in, basically what he brought up was, like, he thinks of life as, like, destiny does exist, but we kind of have our moments where we make things happen without it being an influence. And what I want to argue against that is, even if we do have those moments where destiny doesn't intertwine with our lives, at the same time, destiny is still... If that were true, then wouldn't that still make destiny, like, the biggest part? Still make it a player in the game? Because of the simple fact that those little things that you do outside of destiny, what if those little things you do end up making destiny happen the same? Because, like, destiny is supposed to be like, well, it's a thing that happens regardless. So at that point, those little minuscule things that you did against fate ended up actually making it, like, even if it does change, like, let's say hypothetically it does change the course of your fate, right? Let's say hypothetically it changes that course, then that's still fate deciding that that happened. So yeah, this is why this is a bad topic to get into, because it's kind of a little depressing a little bit. But yeah, this was the level in question that gave people a hard time. And it's very noticeable why. Not because of the fact that, like, it's a difficult stage. It kind of is. I'll admit, it's a little challenging. That's not the problem. The problem is the box breaking. See, as I broke the left side that time, like, completely on the left side, that would have only been the left side. Which means you would have had to easily, you know, go back and fix your course of where you're going. So, yeah. And real quick takeaway: don't get too depressed over what I was talking about. Don't think too hard about it. I don't want any of you guys getting too depressed or anything like that. So just, you know, just do what you gotta do. Live your life as you've been living. So have fun. And I'm not that depressed about it anymore, because I came up with an answer that I felt was satisfactory, which was... Listen to me talk like I have, like, a fucking IQ over 90 over here. That's how you can tell I have a low IQ, because I'm too busy trying to use big words to sound smart. It's funny because my brother has that thing where he'll do, which is funny because I think it kind of pisses off my dad a little bit, maybe. Not pisses him off, but just, you know, jokingly pisses him off. Where it's essentially, my brother has a thing where he has a bad habit where he'll say big words because he can't think of a small enough word to fit what he's trying to say. So he'll say the big word that he knows instead, which at that point basically makes more sense. But it's just hilarious that that's the thing that ends up happening. And my dad's not, not into the whole big words thing at all, really. Not that he's dumb, it's just not his style, I guess you could say. And, yeah. So, I gotta end it there, though, because we're 50 minutes deep, and honestly, yeah, we're getting there. We're getting close to the end. We got a Tana level next. We got a Cortex level next. Not even a Cortex level. We have to go chase him down. But either way, that'll be it for this. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you didn't get too sad. Listen to me ramble. But other than that, thank you all for watching. And of course, as always, take care, everybody.